2,000 dangerous Deathworlders landed on Earth's dangerous zone. Only 5 returned best HFY stories in a distant part of the galaxy, far beyond the maps used by most spacefaring races. There was a blue planet that many feared. Its official name in galactic records was Sol 3, but most simply called it Earth. Beside its name were warnings written in red symbols: extreme gravity, violent weather, unstable tectonic plates, aggressive wildlife, unpredictable dominant species. Earth was classified as a high-level death world. The Dravok Empire did not fear death worlds. The Dravok were proud conquerors. They had taken worlds with toxic air and crushing gravity. They had defeated species with claws, venom, and armored hides. Their soldiers were bred for strength and trained from birth. Their armor could resist plasma blasts. Their ships could cross light years in days. When young Dravok officers studied Earth, they did not see danger. They saw a challenge. Commander Varkal was one of them. He stood tall even for his kind, with dark-scaled skin and sharp golden eyes. He believed that fear was weakness. When the High Council asked for volunteers to test Earth's dangerous zone, he stepped forward without hesitation. The dangerous zone was marked on galactic scans as a region of severe storms and unstable climate patterns. It was a large landmass on the western hemisphere of North America. Storms formed there with sudden force. Winds could reach speeds that no civilized world allowed. Lightning struck the ground thousands of times in a single night. To the Dravok, it looked like a perfect training ground. 2,000 warriors will be enough, Varkal said during the final briefing. We will land, establish control, and prove that Earth is no different from any other wild planet. The Council agreed. A fleet of transport ships moved silently through deep space. Their hulls were black and smooth, built for war. Inside the largest carrier, 2,000 Dravok warriors waited in armored rows. Their weapons were charged, their helmets sealed, their hearts calm. None of them had ever set foot on Earth. Far below, on the planet itself, life continued as normal. In the state of Oklahoma, dark clouds gathered across the flat horizon. The air felt heavy and warm. Farmers watched the sky with careful eyes. Tornado season had arrived. Jack Miller leaned against his old pickup truck and looked at the forming storm. He was 28 years old and had chased storms since he was a teenager. Beside him stood his friend Emma Clark, holding a camera and checking the radar on her tablet. "This one looks big," Emma said. Jack nodded. "Maybe the biggest this year." They were not afraid. Storms were dangerous, yes, but they were part of life. People in this part of the country respected nature. They built storm shelters. They listened to warnings. They helped each other rebuild. What they did not expect was something falling from the sky that was not rain. High above the clouds, the Dravok fleet entered Earth's atmosphere. At first, everything went according to plan. Heat shields glowed as the ships cut through the upper layers of air. Computer systems adjusted for gravity and magnetic fields. Then the turbulence began. Earth's atmosphere was thicker than many worlds the Dravok had conquered. Sudden pressure shifts shook the ships. Lightning flashed around them, striking metal hulls again and again. Inside the command ship, warning lights flickered. "Unexpected electrical discharge levels," one officer reported. Varkal remained calm. "Reinforced shields." The ships pushed lower. Below them, the tornado had grown into a massive rotating wall of wind. It tore across open fields, lifting dust, debris, and anything not secured to the ground. The first Dravok dropship entered the storm by mistake. Its sensors failed to fully measure the wind speed. The tornado caught it like a toy. The ship spun wildly. Its stabilizers overloaded. Within seconds, the craft broke apart in midair. Pieces of alien metal rained down across farmland. Inside the command ship, silence filled the bridge. "Report," Varkal demanded. "Dropship 1 destroyed," the officer answered. "Cause extreme atmospheric rotation." Varkal's eyes narrowed. Adjust flight paths, avoid the rotating storm. But Earth's weather was not simple. Two more tornadoes formed within minutes. Lightning struck another transport ship, overloading its guidance system. The vessel crashed into an empty field, carving a deep trench before exploding. From the ground, Jack and Emma saw fire streaking through the clouds. "That's not normal," Emma whispered. Burning metal slammed into the ground a mile away. The shockwave reached them seconds later. Jack stared at the smoke rising into the dark sky. "That's not part of the storm." Sirens began to sound in the distance as local authorities issued tornado warnings, but now there were other dangers falling from the sky. Despite the losses, several Dravok ships managed to land outside the storm zone. Heavy landing craft touched down in open plains, crushing grass and soil beneath their weight. Ramps lowered. Armored warriors marched onto Earth. Their boots sank slightly into the soft ground. Gravity pulled harder than expected. Earth's gravity was stronger than the galactic average. It strained muscles and joints, even through powered armor. "Gravity level higher than training simulations," a soldier reported. "Adapt," Varkal ordered. 2,000 had begun the descent. Now only around 1,700 stood on the ground. More ships circled above, searching for safe landing paths. The Dravok raised scanning devices. They expected primitive settlements and scattered wildlife. Instead, they detected roads, vehicles, electrical grids, and digital communication signals. "Dominant species is industrial," an officer said. "Technology level lower than ours, but significant." Varkal felt a small spark of interest. This would not be a simple hunt. It would be a conquest. In a nearby farmhouse, Ben Hayes was watching the Weather Channel when the power flickered. The screen filled with static. Then the signal cut completely. He stepped outside to check the sky and froze. In the distance, he saw a massive dark shape resting in his field. Strange lights blinked along its side. The hull opened, and tall figures in heavy armor walked down a ramp. Ben had lived on that land for 60 years. He had seen tornadoes, floods, and droughts. He had never seen aliens. He did not scream. He did not faint. He walked back inside calmly. He opened a locked cabinet and removed a shotgun. Outside, Dravok units began to spread out. They moved in formation, scanning buildings and infrastructure. Small drones lifted into the air, mapping the terrain. "Local life forms detected," one drone operator said. Varkal looked at the data. Several biological signatures were approaching from a structure nearby. "Capture one for study," he ordered. 3 warriors advanced toward Ben's farmhouse. Ben stepped onto his porch. The wind from the distant tornado carried dust through the air. Thunder rolled above. The armored aliens stopped when they saw him. Their helmets tilted slightly as they analyzed the human before them. Ben raised his shotgun. The Dravok had studied human weapons. They were aware of projectile firearms. They believed their armor could easily withstand such primitive tools. One warrior stepped forward. Ben pulled the trigger. The shotgun blast echoed across the field. The pellets struck the alien's chest plate. Most bounced away, but a few hit joints where the armor segments met. Earth's gravity added force to the impact. The alien stumbled back. The other 2 warriors reacted instantly. One fired a plasma bolt. The blast hit the wooden porch and exploded in bright blue light. Wood shattered. Heat scorched the walls. Ben was thrown backward into his doorway. Inside his house, smoke filled the air. His ears rang. Outside, the Dravok paused. "Armor integrity at 98%, the first warrior reported. "Minor damage to joint seal." Varkal watched through drone footage. "The species resists immediately," he said quietly. Another lightning strike hit nearby, forcing the warriors to step back as electricity surged across the ground. The storm was moving closer. Farther down the road, Jack and Emma drove toward the crash site they had seen earlier. Curiosity pushed them forward despite the danger. As they reached a hill, they saw it clearly. A massive alien ship sat half buried in the earth. Strange symbols glowed along its surface, and around it armored figures were moving. Emma lowered her camera slowly. "Jack, those aren't people in costumes." Jack felt his heart pound. "No," he said, "they're not." Above them, more ships fought against violent winds. One managed to land hard, crushing a line of trees. Out of the original 2,000 invaders, nearly 300 had already been lost to weather and crash impacts before even engaging humanity. Earth had not fired a single organized military shot, yet it had already claimed lives. Commander Varkal looked at the growing storm system on his display. This planet was not behaving like the others they had conquered. Its environment shifted too quickly. Its storms formed too fast, but he refused to consider retreat. "Establish perimeter," he ordered. "Secure resources. Neutralize resistance." As Dravok warriors spread across the countryside, emergency alerts began to reach state authorities. Reports of unidentified aircraft, explosions, and armed figures flooded emergency lines. The United States military would respond soon. But for now, it was farmers, storm chasers, and small-town deputies who stood closest to the invaders. Earth's dangerous zone had been chosen because the Dravok believed it would be empty enough to test safely. They did not understand something simple. No part of Earth was ever truly empty, and the people who lived in its harshest regions were already used to fighting for survival. As night began to fall and the tornado crossed into another county, lightning illuminated the alien ships in flashes of white light. 2,000 dangerous Deathworlders had come to prove their strength. Earth had already begun to answer by the next morning. The full extent of the disaster was clear. The storm had passed, leaving wide swaths of flattened crops and broken fences, but the alien presence was far more terrifying than any tornado. The Dravok warriors, tall and heavily armored, had spread out across the open plains and into small towns. They moved with precision, scanning, taking notes, and eliminating any potential threats. Jack Miller and Emma Clark had returned home after witnessing the first landings. Jack's pickup truck was packed with emergency supplies, a shotgun and some old hunting rifles he had stored for the worst case. Emma had her camera ready, but she now realized this was no longer just a story. It was survival. "Jack, they're going into town," Emma said, pointing toward the horizon. Through the light haze of morning, small armored figures could be seen moving down the main road. Jack grabbed his binoculars. "They're faster than I thought. They'll reach the grocery store and the gas station in minutes. People won't know what hit them." Beneath the calm morning sun, the town of Maplewood was stirring. People went about their daily routines, unaware that their lives were about to change forever. Old Ben Hayes had already seen what the Dravok were capable of. He had gathered some neighbors, including a few farmers who had firearms and a retired mechanic named Ethan Ross. Together, they began fortifying the farmhouse, boarding up windows and barricading doors. "We need to make a plan," Ben said, his voice calm but firm. "They might think we're weak, but we're not." "Do you really think a few guns can stop them?" asked Martha, a young mother clutching her baby. "I don't know," Ben admitted, "but we have to try, and we're not alone." Jack and Emma reached the edge of town. The streets were quiet, almost too quiet. Then a low hum filled the air, followed by a pulse of energy. Drones, smaller than a human, flew down from the alien ships. Their sensors scanned the area, mapping streets, buildings, and people. "They're analyzing everything," Emma whispered. "We can't surprise them." "We have to try," Jack replied. "We can't wait for the military. They won't be here in time." As the first squad of Dravok soldiers entered Maplewood, they were met by resistance no one expected. Ben and his neighbors had positioned themselves at key locations. Shotguns and rifles were ready. When the aliens moved forward, humans opened fire. The Dravok had expected primitive reactions. They had trained for this. Plasma rifles were more powerful than anything humans could wield. Yet something happened that surprised them. The bullets, though weaker, hit joints, gaps in armor, and unprotected areas. The humans moved unpredictably. They dodged behind corners, fired in bursts, and disappeared before the aliens could respond. One soldier, Loran, fired a plasma blast at a barn, expecting it to incinerate anyone inside. Instead, the wooden structure collapsed unevenly, pinning him. Jack and Ethan had fired from behind a stack of crates. The warrior was caught off guard, and for the first time an alien fell in the street, motionless. Varkal observed the battle from his drone interface. "Resistance is stronger than expected," he said. His voice was low, filled with curiosity and concern. "Increase aggression, neutralize civilians." But the humans were clever. They were using the environment to their advantage. Storm debris from the night before blocked streets. Abandoned vehicles were pushed into positions to slow down the alien advance. Small ditches and irrigation canals became traps. A simple haystack caught fire when a plasma bolt hit, sending smoke into the aliens' sensors and forcing them to retreat temporarily. Maya Brooks, a medic in town, worked quickly. She ran between houses, helping the wounded. Her knowledge of first aid, combined with courage, allowed her to save lives even as aliens patrolled the streets. "We can't wait for help," she said to Ethan. "If we don't fight back, they'll destroy everything." Ethan nodded. "Then we fight smart, not just hard." Meanwhile, Jack and Emma scouted the area. They saw more alien patrols approaching. The Dravok were organized and moved in perfect formation, expecting humans to scatter. What they did not understand was coordination. Humans had communication devices, radios, and even improvised signals using car horns and lights. By noon, casualties had begun to rise. A few humans were hit by plasma fire, but the aliens underestimated something critical: human adaptability. Jack and Emma rigged old farm equipment with spikes, chains, and metal plates. Tractors became battering vehicles, plowing into drones and alien barricades. Homemade explosives created from farm chemicals were tossed at advancing squads, forcing them to retreat. Varkal frowned. His warriors, trained to dominate weaker species, were faltering. Every move they made was anticipated. Every trap the humans set slowed them down. "Why are they so unpredictable?" he muttered. "Because," Loran said, "they think differently. They don't follow a single pattern. They improvise." Varkal turned toward the holographic display of the battlefield. It showed clusters of human resistance in multiple areas. Unlike in simulations, the humans did not break under fear. They reorganized after every strike, adapting instantly to the Dravok methods. Jack led a group of volunteers to the main street. They had rifles, shotguns, and homemade weapons. They knew they could not destroy the invaders completely, but they could slow them down. "Remember," Jack said, "we don't have to win today. We just have to survive. Make every shot count." As the humans advanced, plasma bolts lit up the morning sky. The smell of burning wood, scorched earth, and metal filled the air. Yet, every time a Dravok fell, more humans moved in to take the position. In a nearby warehouse, Ethan and Maya coordinated supply distribution. Medical kits, food, and water were shared with anyone who could fight. They realized that survival depended on unity. Varkal's warriors grew frustrated. They had never seen such resistance. Their training assumed fear would dominate weaker species. These humans did not fear. They fought with anger, courage, and intelligence. One squad tried to flank the humans through an abandoned farm. They expected no opposition. Instead, they were met by a trap. Jack and Ethan had dug shallow pits, covered by hay and dirt. 3 warriors fell in at once, struggling to climb out as humans fired from safe positions. The air was filled with screams and alien language, broken by human shouts. Each side was determined. Humans were fighting for their home. Aliens were fighting for pride and conquest. As afternoon arrived, more townspeople joined the fight. Men, women, even teenagers grabbed what they could and resisted. It was no longer a small skirmish. It was a full-scale battle in a human town. Varkal observed silently. He realized something important. Earth itself was a weapon. Its storms, rivers, and terrain made every move dangerous for his warriors. Even the wind and lightning were allies to the humans. Jack and Emma climbed onto a rooftop to get a better view. They saw the full extent of the chaos. Humans were using cars, farm equipment, and even animals in ways the aliens could not anticipate. The Dravok moved methodically, but humans were unpredictable, chaotic, and brave. "We might actually do this," Emma said, eyes wide. Jack nodded. "We're not winning, but we're making them pay for every step." By evening, the first reinforcements from nearby towns began to arrive. Word of alien landings spread quickly through radio, cell networks, and social media. Humans who had once ignored storm warnings now prepared for war. Varkal's warriors, exhausted, began to realize something terrifying. The humans were not just surviving, they were learning. Every failed attack by the aliens became a lesson. Every trap taught the humans more. "Prepare for nightfall," Varkal ordered. "They may think they are safe in the dark, but we will strike harder." But humans had prepared for nightfall too. Bonfires, signal fires, and flashlights marked positions. Ambushes were ready. The storm from the previous night had cleared some paths, but left debris that slowed alien movements. Jack and Emma returned to the farmhouse where Ben and Ethan had set up a command point. Together, they shared observations and planned counterattacks. "They think they're better than us," Ben said. "We'll show them humans aren't easy to scare." As darkness fell, the first night battle began. Plasma fire illuminated the town, revealing armored silhouettes moving carefully. Humans used shadows, terrain, and noise to confuse the aliens. Maya treated the wounded, Jack and Ethan set traps, and Emma documented everything. The townspeople fought together, showing courage that even Varkal could not understand. One Dravok warrior trying to advance down an alley fell into a pit. Another was slowed by a tangle of barbed wire and chains. Every success humans had, no matter how small, increased morale. Varkal watched, frustrated. The humans were not afraid. They adapted faster than his simulations predicted. The night ended with casualties on both sides, but humans had survived the first full day. More importantly, they had learned to fight as one. As dawn approached, Jack looked out over the town. Smoke rose from burning buildings, but life still moved forward. "They might be stronger," he said, "but we have something they don't." Emma lowered her camera. "We have each other." Varkal in his command ship finally understood. This world was dangerous not because of storms or animals. It was dangerous because the humans would never give up. And the battle for survival had only just begun. The sun rose slowly over the battered town. Smoke from burned buildings and shattered fields filled the morning sky, but the humans were still moving. Jack, Emma, Ben, Ethan, and Maya gathered at the farmhouse. Their small group had grown overnight as people from nearby farms and towns arrived to join the fight. Some brought rifles and shotguns. Others brought farming tools or even just courage. Together, they began planning the next steps. "They'll try to regroup," Jack said, checking the horizon. "We can't let them take control. We need to strike before they organize fully." "We're outnumbered," Ethan said, tightening the strap on his rifle. "We can't face them head-on. We need traps, ambushes, and distractions." "Exactly," Jack nodded. "And we'll use the land, ditches, fences, rivers, even trees, anything to slow them down." Farther away, Commander Varkal surveyed the battlefield. His soldiers were battered but not broken. They had underestimated humans. The first day had been harder than expected, and the losses were mounting. He could feel frustration building in his warriors. The humans were fast learners. Every trap, every ambush, every improvised weapon had taught them something new. "We need new tactics," Varkal said, his voice low. "They are learning too fast. Increase mobility. Divide them, scare them, force them to make mistakes." His officers nodded. Small squads of Dravok spread across the countryside. They moved faster than before, using advanced scanners to detect humans. Plasma rifles fired in bursts, and armored walkers patrolled streets, but the humans had adapted. Jack and Ethan had rigged old farm tractors with metal plates, turning them into moving shields. A plow was sharpened to a deadly edge, capable of tearing through the weaker joints of alien armor. Makeshift explosives made from farm chemicals and propane tanks were hidden along roads. Maya ran between stations, helping the wounded and keeping spirits high. She patched cuts and burns, treated broken bones, and encouraged people not to give up. Her calm voice gave hope where fear had begun to creep in. "We can't stop," she said. "Not yet. Not until they leave or we're all gone. They came to take our land, our lives. We fight back." Jack climbed to a nearby hill with Emma to scout. The Dravok had divided into several groups, moving cautiously toward the town. From above, the soldiers looked organized, but Jack noticed something important. They relied on technology too much. They scanned for humans, but they did not see everything. The natural terrain, fallen trees, ditches, and farm equipment blocked sensors in ways they had not predicted. "We can use that," Jack said, pointing to a small valley where a Dravok patrol was advancing. "Set up traps here, cut off their retreat, and force them into the open." Emma nodded and ran down to help coordinate civilians. People carried sandbags, boards, and metal sheets. They worked quickly, building barricades and camouflaging pits. Even children were assigned small jobs, like warning of approaching squads or guiding the injured to safe areas. As the morning progressed, first contact began again. A squad of Dravok warriors entered the valley, confident in their numbers. Jack and Ethan triggered the first trap. A hidden cable pulled and a barricade fell onto the lead warrior. Another fell into a pit lined with spikes. Plasma bolts fired at them, but the humans had cover. The battle was chaotic. Dust, smoke, and debris filled the air. Humans shouted, Dravok roared, and explosions lit the landscape. The aliens' advanced weapons were deadly, but the humans' ingenuity and unpredictability made every step dangerous. Ben took charge of one group at a farm. They set up improvised crossbows using rope, wood, and metal. The bolts could pierce lightly armored joints. It was slow work, but each hit counted. "Aim for the gaps," Ben shouted. "Don't waste shots. Hit hard, hit fast." Dravok soldiers grew cautious. Their scanners detected humans in multiple locations, but they could not predict movement. The humans were everywhere and nowhere at the same time. Jack led a small team to flank the Dravok from the side. They used trenches, ditches, and fallen trees to move unseen. "We need to force them into the open," Jack said. "If we can't win, we make them pay for every step." Plasma fire lit up the valley again. One Dravok soldier fell, another staggered after being struck in a joint. The aliens were strong, but the humans refused to retreat. Varkal watched through drones. His warriors were skilled, disciplined, and ruthless. Yet human strategy was unpredictable. Every ambush, every improvised weapon, every clever trap slowed their advance. He realized that brute force alone would not win this battle. He ordered his warriors to use fire. Plasma bursts ignited dry fields, burning fences, and scattering livestock. The smell of smoke filled the air. Yet humans adapted. They used smoke for cover, hiding in debris or behind vehicles. Ethan and Jack moved quickly through the chaos, leading groups to flank positions. Maya helped the wounded. Emma documented everything, but she also carried supplies. "Keep moving," Jack told people. "Don't stop. Don't give them an easy target." The battle stretched for hours. The humans had fewer weapons, but they had creativity, courage, and knowledge of the land. They could retreat, hide, and strike unexpectedly. The aliens were strong, but they underestimated the determination of those defending their home. Varkal decided to change tactics. He sent scouts ahead to identify leaders. If the humans lost organization, he believed the rest would scatter. Jack noticed this and prepared a counter. "If they send scouts, we trap them," he said. "We protect our leaders and strike the first group they send." The next encounter happened near a river. The Dravok tried to cross, but humans had sabotaged bridges and built hidden pits in shallow areas. A small squad of soldiers fell into a hidden trap. Jack and Ethan fired from cover, taking advantage of their position. The warriors fought back but struggled in the narrow riverbed, exposed to attack from all sides. Varkal grew frustrated. "They are everywhere," he said, "and every mistake costs us." The humans' numbers continued to grow. Nearby towns sent volunteers. Small groups of armed civilians arrived on bicycles, trucks, or even horseback. Each new group brought weapons, knowledge of the terrain, and courage. Maya treated the wounded in the field, often under fire. She moved quickly, bandaging, splinting, and giving water. "We can't let them win," she said quietly to each injured person. "We survive together." As the day wore on, the battle escalated. Humans began to use fire themselves, lighting controlled fires to block paths or create smoke for cover. Tractors, farm equipment, and even animals were used as shields and distractions. Every Dravok advance was met with resistance that grew stronger and smarter with every encounter. Varkal realized something important. The humans were not predictable. They learned from mistakes instantly. Every fallen soldier taught others how to fight differently. Every trap slowed the aliens, forcing them to expend energy and resources. "Prepare for nightfall," Varkal said. "They think darkness will help them, but we will strike with fire and lightning. We will show them fear." But humans were ready. They had spent the day setting signals, traps, and defensive positions. They anticipated night attacks and prepared countermeasures. As night fell, the humans lit controlled fires along roads and fields. Smoke moved to confuse drones and sensors. Jack led small teams to flank advancing soldiers. Plasma fire lit the sky, but humans moved with speed and unpredictability. Varkal watched as his warriors struggled. Every tactic he tried was met with resistance. Humans were brave, clever, and united. Jack, Emma, Ben, Ethan, and Maya moved through the chaos, coordinating humans in multiple locations. Each small victory was hard-fought but built morale. Townspeople cheered for each successful ambush. Varkal realized the truth. Brute strength alone could not conquer this world. Humans adapted, fought back, and used the environment as a weapon. Every step forward was dangerous. Every moment of complacency could cost lives. By the end of the night, the humans had survived another day. The Dravok had advanced slightly, but their losses were significant. Warriors were injured, some captured, others eliminated by traps. Jack looked at the horizon as dawn approached. "They think they are stronger," he said, "but we fight smarter, faster, and together. They will learn the hard way." Emma nodded. "We survived the first day and will survive the next. They can't break us." Varkal in his command ship stared at the battlefield. He realized he had underestimated humans. Their strength was not in technology or armor. It was in their courage, unity, and ability to adapt. The battle for survival was far from over, but one thing was clear. Humans were not weak. They were dangerous. And they would not give up. The sun rose slowly over the battlefield, revealing the destruction left from the past days. Burned fields, broken fences, and ruined buildings marked every step of the humans' defense. Yet, amidst the ruins, people moved with determination. Jack, Emma, Ben, Ethan, and Maya gathered in the farmhouse once again, preparing for the next phase. They knew the Dravok would not stop. If anything, the aliens would be more determined after their setbacks. "They will come at us harder today," Jack said, checking maps and radio signals. "We can't make mistakes. Every trap, every ambush counts." We don't have numbers like them, Ethan said, but we know the land. We can use that. Every hill, river, and tree can help us. Maya looked around the room where townspeople had gathered. Men and women, young and old, all had weapons, supplies, or tasks to help. We fight together, she said. They can be strong, but we are many and we are smart. Never forget that. Far away, Commander Varkal studied the map of the battlefield. The Dravok had lost more soldiers than expected. Morale was low. Technology had failed in unexpected ways. The humans adapted faster than predicted, turning debris, fire, and storms into weapons. He realized brute force alone could not win here. We cannot afford more losses, Varkal said. We need to divide them, scare them, and force them to surrender. He sent squads to different locations, hoping to trap humans in narrow valleys and forested areas. Yet humans anticipated much of this. Scouts and signals from nearby towns alerted defenders to approaching squads. Jack, Ben, and Ethan set new traps along the predicted paths. In a small valley, a squad of Dravok advanced confidently. They believed humans would be scattered and weak. Instead, they found the valley filled with pits, tripwires, and smoke screens. Their scanners struggled to see clearly through the haze. One warrior fell into a pit filled with sharpened stakes. Another tripped on a wire that pulled a heavy log down from a hill. Humans fired from cover, targeting joints in the armor and using the environment as a weapon. Varkal observed the valley through drones. He felt unease for the first time in his career. Humans were not just surviving, they were thriving in defense. Every ambush slowed the Dravok and forced them to expend more energy. Jack and Ethan led another team along the river. They had sabotaged a bridge, leaving only a narrow crossing. The Dravok had no choice but to cross in smaller groups, making them easier targets. Humans threw rocks, fired rifles, and even used fire from the previous night to create smoke and confusion. Every attack was carefully planned to avoid casualties while maximizing impact. Maya treated the wounded in the field. The medical supplies were limited, but she moved quickly and calmly. Each injury healed or stabilized meant another human could return to the fight. She patched gunshot wounds, burns, and cuts, often under fire, giving hope to those who feared they would die. "We can't stop," she told the injured. "We survive together and we keep fighting." As the day progressed, the Dravok realized that conventional tactics were failing. Their squads were strong, disciplined, and armed with plasma rifles, but humans adapted, learned, and used the land to their advantage. Every strategy that worked on other worlds failed here. Varkal decided to take a personal approach. He selected the 5 strongest warriors remaining in his command and ordered them to confront human leaders directly. He believed that capturing or killing them would break the humans' organization and morale. Jack, Emma, Ben, Ethan, and Maya did not know the aliens were approaching. They continued coordinating defenses, unaware that their lives were about to be directly threatened. At noon, the 5 Dravok approached the farmhouse under the cover of trees. They moved carefully, using scanning technology to avoid traps. Yet Jack had anticipated such a move. He positioned a team of sharpshooters along the surrounding hills, prepared to disrupt any direct attack. The first Dravok reached the edge of the clearing. Suddenly, a tripwire triggered a loud alarm and smoke canisters fell, obscuring vision. Humans fired from cover. One alien fell, clutching a leg. The others hesitated. Jack signaled to push forward. The battle was intense. Bullets, plasma, and improvised weapons filled the air. Jack and Ethan flanked the remaining warriors while Maya assisted the wounded. Emma moved quickly, distracting the aliens with signals and noises, confusing their sensors. Varkal watched through a drone, his expression grim. His best soldiers, the strongest remaining, were being slowed by humans with minimal weapons and no advanced technology. He realized something crucial. Humans were not only resilient, They were brilliant at surviving and adapting. As the sun began to set, the humans held the ground. The 5 Dravok were defeated, injured, and surrounded. Jack approached, keeping his rifle ready but not firing. The aliens were strong but clearly beaten. Varkal knew that losing these warriors would be unacceptable. He sent a signal ordering extraction. The shuttle arrived, picking up the 5 survivors. Varkal could only watch as they were lifted into the sky, leaving the battlefield behind. The humans did not cheer. There was relief, but also awareness that the fight was not yet over. The Dravok would return, but now humans had proven something. They could survive, adapt, and resist. The 5 Dravok were taken to a repair station on the shuttle. Commander Zerk, the leader of the 5, had one arm injured and armor badly damaged. He expected punishment from his empire. Instead, he received basic medical attention. Maya had insisted that wounded beings, even enemies, should be treated. "Why help us?" Zerk asked through the translator. "Because we are human," Maya said simply. "We survive together. Even you deserve that." Weeks later, the 5 Dravok returned to their empire. They carried images, recordings, and knowledge of Earth. They had seen human bravery, strategy, and unity. They had learned that the planet's danger was not in storms or animals, it was in its people. When they reported to the Galactic Council, they gave a single message: Earth is unconquerable. Commander Zerk added, "This world is not a death world, it is defended. Humans are dangerous not because of weapons, but because they refuse to give up. They fight together, adapt, and survive." Across the galaxy, the warning spread. Other species that once considered Earth easy prey now paused. The planet was no longer just a blue planet. It was a symbol of resilience. Back on Earth, life slowly returned to normal. Towns were rebuilt, crops replanted, and communities strengthened. Jack, Emma, Ben, Ethan, and Maya were celebrated not as heroes, but as ordinary people who had done extraordinary things. "We survived because we worked together," Jack said one evening, watching the sunset over the fields. Emma nodded. "And we will survive again if we have to." Varkal and the Dravok never underestimated humans again. They understood one truth: the people of Earth were clever, united, and relentless. Every invasion, every attack, and every threat would be met with courage and adaptation. The planet had defended itself, not with technology, but with its people. Ordinary humans had shown that even against the strongest alien forces, unity, intelligence, and determination could turn the tide. And across the galaxy, Earth gained a new reputation. It was not forbidden, not empty, not weak. It was dangerous. Not because of storms, tornadoes, or natural disasters, because the humans were dangerous, because they refused to die, because they fought together, and that truth would be remembered forever.